Okay, hey y'all, welcome back to another video from Trolsey's Chapters. I know this is very much overdue. My last video was January 16th. I only remember that because that's my birthday. And today is March 5th. I hope I can have this out by tomorrow, but who knows? It could be another week, it could be another month, I don't know. But we have had just some different unexpected problems come up. We've been sick twice. I think I had already said I was sick for 9 days in January, and then our whole family got sick last week, and then we also had 2 weeks of being just totally out of our routine because of the ice storm. Our house was out of power for 10 days. We stayed at a different location for about 2 weeks. And so anyway, I felt like I was being pretty consistent with the videos at the beginning of the year, and then I just kind of fell off the wagon, so to speak. I'm going to talk a little bit more about my plans for this channel a little bit later, but I also have kind of just been doing some thinking. And so anyway, I did just want to get back on and, kind of give you proof of life that I'm still alive and well. Haven't read quite as much as I would have liked to, but I have been listening to some different audiobooks. So I just wanted to share my top 2 books, my top book from January, my top book from February, and then kind of talk about what I'm reading currently. So before I get into that, I will say I took a break from Goodreads between Christmas and New Year's. Put the cone down, please. Put the cone down. Thank you. So I took a break from Goodreads between Christmas and New Year's, and also just from social media in general. Like, I wasn't on Instagram. I'm hardly ever on Facebook. I'm really not on Facebook anyway. Wasn't on that. I wasn't on YouTube. Like, I wasn't consuming any content, and I wasn't producing any content. And honestly, I felt so good during that week that I didn't really want to get back into everything that I've been doing as much. I really do enjoy making videos, and I don't enjoy editing them as much, but I don't mind it. But I think just that experience of being offline made me realize how much I enjoy being offline. And so, it's nothing against Booktube, but I just decided that, okay, I want to be sure that I am being fully present in my real life, and it just doesn't leave as much time to do things online. I also feel very passionate about my other channel, which is called Miraculous Freedom, and that's the one where I talk all about freedom in Christ. I have a podcast, I have a website with a blog, and so anyway, that one's just more on my heart of things that God has, I guess, led me to talk about. And so if I had to pick between that one and this one honestly is more lighthearted and fun and easy to do. I'm just outside with my daughter right now filming. But the other one I feel more led to pursue. No, don't go past the cones. So anyway, if one channel has to fall by the wayside, unfortunately, it's going to be this one. Aya Francis, go to timeout.
No.
You say, yes, ma'am. You went past the cones. And so anyway, so my time, I'm just realizing, is more limited. I want to spend more time offline. I almost said online, but offline. And then my personal experience. Okay, so I just feel like this year, even though I've had some different sicknesses and hardships and stuff pop up, it has still been such a good reading year for me. And I think a big part of that, and again, this is not saying anything bad about Booktube because it's so fun and I love it. Aya Francis, go back to timeout. I haven't called you out. You don't have to sit down. You can stand by the step. Anyway, I just had the experience during that week of just having no expectations of what I was going to read, no outside influence of what I was going to read. And no.
Sorry.
I know. You have to wait.
I'm sorry.
I know. Anyway, it was honestly so freeing to read without being under the influence of any outside source like Goodreads or Booktube or anything. And I know I said it was just that week, but really, I have not been on Goodreads at all this year. So that's, or that week, so I don't know how long that is, but 2 months of not being on Goodreads. I felt like I was spending time that I could have been reading just looking at all the books and again being on my phone. And so I just thought, this really, like, I did find one book that I really liked. It ended up being in my 5-star video, The Daughters of Shandong. I found that from Goodreads, but I felt like that didn't outweigh the cons, and it just wasn't serving me as well as it could have been. Like, I was using it too much and depending on it too much. So I'm not tracking my reading in an app this year. I switched to a reading journal. Anyway, and then I haven't been on Booktube, like, watching people's book videos really, because again, you picked that up. I was just having so much fun reading, like, whatever I wanted to without feeling like I was missing out on reading what they were suggesting if I didn't read that, if that makes sense. I will watch every now and then, but just, it's not part of my, like, daily or even weekly routine at this point. Okay, and then this is something that's very complicated, and I realized that I could be, like, promoting this idea, but I just felt like I personally was feeling a little bit too much like I knew these people online, or like I had, I don't know, even though it's a pseudo relationship, some sort of like fake relationship with them. And I don't want to feel like that. I feel like I need a little bit more distance. And so on the rare occasions that I have been watching TV, which my husband and I do watch every night, but usually almost every night. And then if I watch something by myself, I've been watching a podcast. So where it's usually like two people talking and you're just watching their conversation rather than watching somebody like me, like I'm doing right now, talking to the camera and feeling like, I don't know, they're in your living room. So anyway, obviously I don't think it's wrong or bad to make those kinds of videos, because here we are. But I feel like I was kind of like Goodreads, just depending on them too much. And I think some of that came from a season of just being sick and not feeling like reading and doing other things, but I just felt like I needed to kind of take a step back. So without further ado, my top 2 reads from this year so far. My January book of the month was Famous for a Living by Melissa Ferguson. I read that when I was sick. My sister, I'd put it on hold at the library, and my sister dropped it off one day when I was kind of on the tail end of sickness but still couldn't get out, and I had the best time reading it. It was a lot deeper than I expected. So it also talked about, just the whole thing was about a social media influencer. So anyway, it just talks about different dangers of social media and our relationships with our phones. And that kind of led me to, and there had reflection questions for you at the very end of the book. So that work of fiction actually is one thing that kind of set me on this journey of evaluating, my life and how I spend my time during the day. And I know I said that week between Christmas and New Year's did, and that was like the jump start, but then this made me think a little bit more deeply and just like realize some things, I guess, that I hadn't noticed about how I was more dependent on my phone than I wanted to be. That book I would highly recommend. Again, it's clean Christian fiction. The Christian themes are not like, don't want to say in your face, but it's not obvious, but it is a clean romance, and it was very deep and thought-provoking at the same time. On a kind of separate note, I've been listening to some nonfiction books about technology, and the first one that I listened to was called Read Connected, and that was by Carlos Whitaker. I had heard it mentioned on a podcast probably more than a year ago and just thought, oh, that sounds interesting, but at the time I just kind of set it aside. But I'm so glad I listened to it. That's been my first book about technology to listen to, and if you are looking for something like you've never listened to one or read one like I haven't, or I hadn't before then, I highly recommend that one because it's so accessible. It's just basically his experience without his phone for 7 weeks, and he does get his brain scanned at the beginning and the end, and so there is some data, I guess you could say, but it's not dense by any means. It's told in more of just a storytelling way, and the author narrates the book, and I really enjoyed listening to it. Okay, so that was a side tangent. Then my book for February was also nonfiction. I've been reading so much nonfiction because I think most of the booktubers that I watch are into fiction, and so last year I was just reading more fiction because that's what I was being exposed to and all of that. But I really, deep in my heart, I think I am more of a nonfiction person. I love fiction as well, but I really enjoy nonfiction. And so I read M is for Mama by Abby Halberstadt, I think. I'll have to be sure that I got her name right. I don't know if I said it right. But anyway, that has been very transformative in the way that I am viewing motherhood and the way that I'm trying to discipline my toddler. And I actually transitioned from working to being at home full-time in January. And so that was a very timely read for me, just to kind of recalibrate and see my home and family and motherhood as a ministry and not just mundane tasks, you know, which it can feel like sometimes if you're not careful. Okay, and I'm about to have to end because I need to give more of my attention to my daughter. She's done a great job right now, but I don't want to push the limit, and I want to spend some time with her. You want mom to? Okay, just give me 1 minute, and then I'll push you. You can push Bear Bear first. Make sure that you go that way. Good job. So I just went to the library yesterday. I had 3 books on hold. Oh, the show that my husband and I watch every night. I am not necessarily recommending this. It's not bad, but if you're a teenager, I would say don't watch it. You're going to Hobby Lobby? We went yesterday, so she's pretending to go to Hobby Lobby. Is that so fun? Oh. Remember, don't go past the cones. All right, have fun shopping. The show that we watch every night is Murder, She Wrote, which was filmed in the 80s and 90s, and maybe later, I don't know. But it's with Jessica Fletcher. That's the, I almost called her detective. She's a mystery writer in the show. And it's Angela Lansbury, which if you grew up in the 90s and you watched Beauty and the Beast, then you would definitely recognize her voice. It only took me like 3 episodes, and I was like, I know who this is. It's Mrs. Potts. So I love her. I love the character. I think she's great. She was an English teacher. I was an English teacher. And she's just so observant, which I'm really not. And so I feel like I'm actually learning a lot from her, and just like, I don't know, you see a lot of critical thinking, and there's just so many shows on TV today where I don't want to say that they're boring, but they don't make you think. But this show actually does make you think, and I really like that about it. I've only solved probably maybe like 3 mysteries, 3 crimes, but because it's always somebody that you like don't expect, which is really fun, and it kind of keeps you guessing. So anyway, I wanted to see what those books are like. So I got one Jessica Fletcher book, which I don't know if she was real or not. I'm gonna have to look into that more. But I got one of those, and I don't remember the name. And then I got 2 Agatha Christie books, because she's supposed to be like the, I don't know, the best in that genre, I guess. And so I just kind of wanted to see how those books compared, like the Jessica Fletcher and Agatha Christie. I've never read Agatha Christie. I always thought it was very scary, which that's why I didn't want to watch this show that we watch now, Murder, She Wrote, because it sounds terrible. But it's really not scary, or, I mean, it might be suspenseful at some points, but it's really more of the mystery. And whenever I was thinking back and not being influenced by Goodreads or anything during that week that I talked about, I was thinking, like, what were my favorite books when I was a kid? And it was Nancy Drew and The Boxcar Children. And so I've always liked mysteries, and I just have been too afraid to read them as an adult because I don't want to be scared and I don't want it to keep me up at night. I really am going to have to go. So that is why I got these different books. This is a totally different genre for me. Again, I'm not recommending them because I haven't read them, but, and I don't know if I'm like being contradictory or what, but I did see on one of the few book videos that I've watched this year. It might be too big. Here, let me see if I can fit it. Oh, it doesn't fit. It's too big. You can get a smaller one.
Yeah.
Maybe that one? You want to try that one? Anyway, I did hear a Christian booktuber recommend Agatha Christie, and so I thought, well, you know, maybe it's not as like scary as you think it is. So I will let you know. I'll keep you posted. But anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'm not going to make any promises about when I'll put another video out, but you know, this is just fun when I can, and yeah, I hope that you've enjoyed it, and I hope you're having a great spring.